All praises to the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Racha Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, laboring in His truth in all sincerity. Isaiah 54:16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy.
The nuclear-powered, nuclear-capable Burevestnik missile and the Poseidon underwater autonomous vehicle. I'd like to thank all of the design bureaus and collectives. These are tens of thousands of people who participated in the development and creation of these powerful and unique weapons. The results that you have achieved are absolutely historical, and they're important for the strategic parity of our country. In fact, they provide a strategic parity for the whole 21st century.
So that was a video of Vladimir Putin giving some credit to his engineers and developers of the Poseidon torpedo. And so the Poseidon torpedo, it's a Russian nuclear-powered, nuclear-armed, autonomous underwater drone designed to cause catastrophic and long-lasting damage, primarily through two mechanisms: a massive radioactive tsunami and extreme long-term radioactive contamination. The damage it could cause includes destruction of coastal cities and naval bases. The primary goal is to target and decimate major coastal population centers, ports, and naval infrastructure. A single detonation could effectively wipe out an entire city or fleet anchorage. Radioactive tsunami, an underwater nuclear detonation near a coastline, is intended to trigger a giant destructive wave, speculated by Russian state media to be up to 500 meters high, though Western analysis suggests this is exaggerated. This massive swell of water would flood coastal areas, causing extensive mechanical damage far inland. Long-term radioactive contamination. The weapon is believed to carry a warhead, potentially a cobalt bomb, specifically designed to maximize long-lasting radioactive fallout. The resulting radioactive spray and fallout would render large areas of the affected coastline and surrounding regions uninhabitable for decades, making recovery efforts extremely difficult. I'll stop there. I want to go into Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 42. The sea has risen over Babylon. She is covered by its crashing waves. And that was in the NLT. The KJV would say the sea has come up upon Babylon. She is covered by the multitude of the waves thereof. These waves in this particular verse, verse 42 of Jeremiah 51, the waves actually refer to like swarms of troops, swarms of foreign troops who have invaded Babylon. In this particular case here, though, with this Poseidon torpedo, and you're looking at waves, I saw an article a couple of days ago that stated that this particular wave can get up to about 200 feet. Of course, in the AI overview, it said 500 feet. That's from Russian sources. So U.S. analysts say that that may be a bit exaggerated. Like I said, the article that I actually read a couple of days ago said 200 feet. Either way, a 200-foot tidal wave coming crashing down on a coastal city can do a whole lot of damage in addition to the swarms of troops, foreign troops that's already going to be within Babylon invading and, basically wreaking havoc here. So once again, the sea has risen over Babylon. She is covered by its crashing waves. So we go back here to look at the radioactive tsunami. An underwater nuclear detonation near a coastline is intended to trigger a giant destructive wave, speculated by Russia's state media to be up to 500 meters high, though Western analysts suggest this is exaggerated. This massive swell of water would flood coastal areas, causing extensive mechanical damage far inland. So biblical prophecy is playing out. We see it playing out in front of us, and it's undeniable at this point. The Most High spoke it. He said it was going to happen, and it is indeed happening. And just like Isaiah 54:16 stated, the initial verse that I read, the Most High has created the blacksmith who fans the coals beneath the forge and makes the weapons of destruction. And he has created the armies that destroy. So that goes back to Jeremiah 51:42, where the waves are going to come crashing down on Babylon. And those waves are the armies that you see here in Isaiah 54:16. And I have created the armies that destroy. But this Poseidon torpedo is also capable of inflicting anywhere between maybe 200 to 500 foot tsunami that can come crashing down on a coastal city. So let's also take a look at another video here.
Clear. China's policy is very clear. China will not fire the first shot, but China will not allow you to fire the second shot. China will never allow the United States to launch a war against China, conventional or nuclear, without suffering devastating consequences. If you have not watched the Victory Day parade in Beijing on September the 3rd, one of the weapons China demonstrated, we call it 61, because it can contain 60 nuclear warheads plus one hydrogen bomb. Now, in the world of today, let me tell you, which country has hydrogen bomb? China is the only country with hydrogen bomb. And that ICBM can cover every corner of the world in less than 20 minutes and destroy any target in any corner of the world without any possibility of being intercepted. I hope Washington has learned the lesson. If you want to have war, you will get war. If you want to destroy China, you will be destroyed. If you want to impose nuclear war on China, you will be wiped out by nuclear war. Nuclear.
So there you have it. If you want to wage war on China, you will get war. Once again, these particular nations are no longer in awe of Mystery Babylon, aka America. These countries now indeed have their own nuclear arsenals, and their technology seems to be, if not more advanced, at the very least, equally in terms of the amount of catastrophic damage that it is capable of bringing here. So let's take a look at this hydrogen bomb a little bit more in depth here. I typed into the Google AI overview, what type of damage can China's hydrogen bomb inflict? A hydrogen bomb thermonuclear weapon could inflict catastrophic widespread damage on the U.S. through immediate effects, blast, heat, radiation, and long-term consequences, radioactive fallout, climate disruption, and societal collapse. Immediate effects: massive destruction. A single high-yield hydrogen bomb can destroy a city and its surroundings within a radius of several miles. The intense shock wave would level most buildings and cause injuries from collapsing structures and flying debris at distances up to dozens of miles. Extreme heat and firestorms, the explosion produces a white-hot fireball with temperatures of millions of degrees, which can vaporize everything near ground zero and ignite massive firestorms that can spread over a large area. That heat is so intense. If you look at any documentary on the bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, people who were vaporized, it happened so fast in an instant that their shadows were left on buildings. Even to this day, there are certain buildings in Japan where you'll see shadows still on the building of where someone was sitting or standing, and that particular person was vaporized, leaving only their shadow on the building wall or even on the ground itself. So back to the actual article, intense thermal radiation can cause severe to third-degree burns to people many miles away. Immediate fatalities, tens of hundreds of thousands or even millions of people would die immediately from the blast and heat in a single detonation over a populated area. Prompt radiation, an initial burst of prompt nuclear radiation, would be lethal to those in the vicinity of the blast. And then you see some of the long-term effects: radioactive fallout, electromagnetic pulse, societal and economic collapse, global climate disruption, and famine. The use of hydrogen bombs would not only cause massive death and destruction on a national level, but could trigger global existential consequences for human civilization. So let's look at Jeremiah 51, 1 and 2. And this is titled Babylon Judged for Sins Against Israel, Yasharallah. This is what Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai says: I will stir up a destroyer against Babylon and the people of Babylon. Foreigners will come and winnow her, blowing her away as chaff. They will come from every side to rise up against her in the day of trouble. So once again, we see that this is all playing out here. You know, the Most High is sending that destroying wind. That destroying wind is that we see right here in the KJV version of verse 1, where it states, and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, a destroying wind. That wind is the nuclear winter, that after that initial blast, and you got the wave that knocks down all the buildings, that initial wave of radiation that's floating around in the atmosphere, that is that destroying wind, and it melts. And like the scripture says in 2 Peter, this is that fervent heat here, that it's going to melt. The elements are going to melt with fervent heat. And will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. And so we see that these particular nations, Russia and China, that is their intention. Their intention is to use their technology and to they can actually attack from a distance. This isn't like the past wars where America had the advantage by having the Atlantic on one side and the Pacific on the other side. Now you have other countries that can actually reach this country here. And with the border crisis that this country had, you have a lot of operatives who are already in this particular country. You heard the Moabite just now basically stating, you know, you won't get a chance to fire a second shot. China is not going to allow you to be able to fire a second shot against us. That's a very confident statement to make there. But when you think about it, there's Chinese operatives all throughout this country now, and they have basically infiltrated a lot of industries, including the military. So there's really no telling just how much they can hack into certain systems. Like I mentioned in a previous video, I believe, China has been sending spy balloons over this country. They had an issue where maybe a year or two back, China sent over a spy balloon. I think it came in over from Canada over Montana, and it went across the country. They didn't catch it or bring it down, if I'm correct, until it got to like Florida or Alabama. So these fanners are already here, and it's not just Moab, it's not just Russia, but you're also looking at Ishmael, Elam. You know, these fanners are already here, and there's going to be that destroying wind in the form of thermonuclear fire. So the scriptures are undefeated. The Most High's word never comes back void. And, we can go back to Isaiah 54:16 actually here now. So, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. Yes, and we're looking at two world leaders here now boasting in their weapons technology. One, you have a Poseidon torpedo, in addition to their vast arsenal of nuclear weapons, as well as now you have China stating that they are the only country with a hydrogen bomb. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. The NLT says, and I have created the armies that destroy. So we're looking at, let's read that whole thing in the NLT. I have created the blacksmith who fans the coals beneath the forge and makes the weapons of destruction. And I have created the armies that destroy. And that's what we're seeing here with Russia and China. Let's also read verse 17. But in that coming day, no weapon turned against you will succeed. You will silence every voice raised up to accuse you. These benefits are enjoyed by the servants of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Their vindication will come from me. I, Yahweh, have spoken. So we're seeing that the Most High, starting with his elect, it's already established here that the Most High's elect, starting with the 144,000 and the rest of the 1/3, during this time where the waster that has been created along with the armies that destroy, during this time the Most High is going to deliver his elect scattered throughout the entire earth, but primarily right here in Mystery Babylon, aka America. So let's jump to Jeremiah 51:5. I'm pretty much jumping back and forth between Isaiah chapter 54 and Jeremiah 51 in regards to this particular topic here. Jeremiah 51:5. For Yahweh of heaven's armies has not abandoned Israel and Judah. He is still their power, even though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. So this goes into the Most High's mercies, his mercies and his promises of delivering his chosen people, starting with his elect, as I mentioned earlier, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, particularly here, but particularly right here in Babylon the Great. This goes into his mercies, the Most High's mercies and his promises of not abandoning Israel and Judah during this time of trouble here that we are about to see get unleashed on Babylon. So let's scroll down to 51:24 and 25 to get a further look at this particular trouble that we are praying and hoping that we are of that number, because according to Jeremiah 51:24 and 25, I will repay Babylon and the people of Babylonia for all the wrong they have done to my people in Jerusalem, says Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Look, O mighty mountain, the destroyer. Salakia. Look, O mighty mountain, destroyer of the earth. I am your enemy, says Yahweh. I will raise my fist against you to knock you down from the heights. When I am finished, you will be nothing but a heap of burnt rubble. And so, like I mentioned a few moments ago, these are the mercies of the Most High as it pertains to his elect. We, as the hopeful elect, don't want to be on the ground when this is taking place. You know, when the Most High says, when I am finished, you will be nothing but a heap of burnt rubble. You most definitely do not want to be on the ground during this time right here. And so this goes back to the Most High's mercies. We go back up to verse 5 when the Most High says, For Yahweh of heaven's armies has not abandoned Israel and Judah. He is still their power, even though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. These are the mercies of the Most High. We can get a further example of that by going back to Jeremiah chapter 54, starting at verse 7. And this is Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai speaking. For a brief moment I abandoned you, but with great compassion I will take you back. In a burst of anger I turn my face away for a little while, but with everlasting love I will have compassion on you, says Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, your Redeemer. Just as I swore in the time of Noah that I would never again let a flood cover the earth, so now I swear that I will never again be angry and punish you. For the mountains may move and the hills disappear, but even then my faithful love for you will remain. My covenant of blessing will never be broken, says Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, who has mercy on you. I pray this has been edifying and reaches the ears it's supposed to reach. Shalom.